This is Baalbek in the Lebanon. Each of these 3 blocks weighs 900 tons.
Like, what is the weight of that? What's the overall weight?
That's 1.7 million pounds.
What if the largest stone blocks ever moved by human hands are hiding secrets that could rewrite everything we know about ancient civilization? In the heart of Lebanon stands Baalbek, a place so mysterious that even modern engineers scratch their heads wondering how it was built. Recent infrared scans have unveiled something absolutely mind-blowing beneath these colossal stones.
What if the greatest mystery in the ancient world isn't in Egypt or Jerusalem,
Baalbek, which is located in Lebanon, and I had the great privilege of going there,
but buried deep in Lebanon, hidden in plain sight?
This block and another 2 are actually far older than the Roman period.
And today, we're diving deep into what might be the archaeological discovery of the century. Buckle up, because what you're about to discover will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about our ancestors. The Enigma of Baalbek. Standing in the BK Valley of Lebanon, Baalbek isn't just another ancient ruin gathering dust in history books. This place is extraordinary, perplexing, and downright unbelievable. The Romans knew it as Heliopolis, the city of the sun. But what they built upon was something far older and far more mysterious. When you first lay eyes on these towering columns and massive stone blocks, your brain simply refuses to accept what your eyes are seeing. The sheer scale of Baalbek defies logical explanation. We're talking about construction that makes modern skyscrapers look like child's play in comparison. The complex covers roughly 5 million square feet, making it one of the largest religious sites of the ancient world. Towering columns reach toward the sky like fingers trying to touch the heavens, and beneath them lies something that has baffled archaeologists, engineers, and curious minds for centuries. What makes Baalbek truly special isn't just its size or beauty. It's the impossible nature of its foundation. The platform upon which the Roman temples sit contains stones so massive that our modern machinery would struggle to lift them. These aren't your average building blocks we're talking about here. These are behemoths carved from solid limestone, transported from quarries, and somehow placed with surgical precision. Local legends whisper about giants who built the original platform, about supernatural beings who commanded the stones to move. While skeptics dismiss these tales as primitive explanations for advanced engineering, recent technological breakthroughs are making even the most hardened scientists pause and reconsider. Could there be truth hidden within these ancient stories? The Roman temples that crown Baalbek are magnificent achievements in their own right. The Temple of Jupiter Baal, the Temple of Bacchus, and the Temple of Venus showcase the grandeur of Roman architecture at its finest. But here's the kicker. The Romans themselves documented their confusion about the massive foundation stones they built upon. Even they didn't claim to have moved these megalithic blocks. So if the Romans didn't do it, who did? The trilithon, 3 stones that shouldn't exist. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, or rather, the 3 massive elephants that weigh approximately 800 tons each. The trilithon consists of 3 enormous limestone blocks that form part of the podium of the Temple of Jupiter. Each stone measures roughly 60 feet long, 14 feet high, and 12 feet deep. To put this in perspective, that's roughly equivalent to 3 Boeing 747 airplanes stacked together but made entirely of solid stone. These 3 giants rest about 20 feet above ground level, perfectly fitted together with gaps so tight you couldn't slide a piece of paper between them. The precision is absolutely staggering. No mortar holds them together, just pure geometric perfection and gravitational force. Modern stonemasons who've examined these blocks admit they couldn't replicate this level of accuracy even with today's laser-guided cutting tools. The nearest quarry where these blocks originated lies about 1/3 of a mile away from the temple complex. Now imagine this scenario. You need to cut 3 massive stones from solid bedrock. transport them across uneven terrain, lift them 20 feet into the air, and position them with millimeter precision. Oh, and you need to do this without cranes, without hydraulic lifts, without steel cables, and without any of the modern equipment we take for granted today. Historical records provide zero documentation about how this feat was accomplished. The Romans kept meticulous records of their engineering projects, yet they're completely silent about moving the trilithon. This silence speaks volumes because the Romans loved boasting about their achievements. If they had moved these stones, they would have shouted it from the rooftops and carved commemorative inscriptions all over them. Some researchers estimate that moving just one of these blocks would require 40,000 people pulling in perfect synchronization. But here's the problem with that theory. Where would you fit 40,000 people around a single stone? Where would they all stand? How would you coordinate their efforts without modern communication systems? The logistics become increasingly impossible the more you examine them. The forgotten stone. Even more impossible. Just when you thought the trilithon was the peak of impossibility, wait until you hear about the stone of the pregnant woman. This megalithic block sits in the quarry where the trilithon stones were cut, and it's even larger than its three famous siblings. Weighing an estimated 1,000 tons, this behemoth measures approximately 70 feet long, making it one of the largest stones ever quarried in human history. The stone of the pregnant woman was carved but never moved from the quarry. It sits there like a frozen giant, partially freed from the bedrock, as if the ancient builders suddenly stopped working and walked away mid-project. Looking at this massive block raises more questions than answers. Why was it abandoned? Did something catastrophic happen? Did the builders realize they'd bitten off more than they could chew? Recent excavations in the same quarry revealed an even larger stone beneath the stone of the pregnant woman. Archaeologists discovered this additional megalith in 2014, and it's estimated to weigh approximately 1,650 tons. Let that sink in for a moment. 1,650 tons of solid limestone, carefully cut and shaped by people who supposedly only had copper tools and wooden rollers at their disposal. The discovery of these quarry stones proves one thing beyond doubt. Whoever was cutting these megalithic blocks fully intended to move them. These weren't decorative carvings or artistic expressions. They were prepared for transportation to the construction site. The fact that they remain in the quarry suggests that either the project was abandoned suddenly, or the builders encountered problems they couldn't overcome. Standing beside these quarry stones in person is reportedly a surreal experience. Visitors describe feeling dwarfed, insignificant, and overwhelmed by the ambition of whoever planned to move these giants. Modern crane operators who visited the site admit they wouldn't know where to begin. The largest mobile crane in the world can lift about 3,000 tons, but setting up such equipment in a rocky Lebanese quarry would be a logistical nightmare, requiring months of preparation and millions of dollars. Infrared technology enters the scene. For decades, archaeologists relied on visual inspection, excavation, and occasionally ground-penetrating radar to study ancient sites. But recent technological advances have opened up entirely new ways of seeing the past. Infrared thermography, originally developed for military and industrial applications, has become an incredible tool for revealing hidden features in ancient structures. This technology detects minute temperature differences in materials, allowing researchers to see what's invisible to the naked eye. When researchers turned their infrared cameras on Baalbek, they expected to map some structural details and maybe identify a few previously unknown chambers. What they actually discovered sent shockwaves through the archaeological community. The infrared scans revealed thermal anomalies beneath the surface of the platform, suggesting the presence of voids, chambers, or passages that nobody knew existed. These weren't small cavities either, Doridan. The readings indicated significant spaces beneath the megalithic foundation. Infrared technology works on a beautifully simple principle. Different materials absorb and release heat at different rates. Solid stone retains heat differently than air-filled voids or water-filled chambers. By capturing these thermal signatures, especially during temperature changes at dawn or dusk, researchers can create detailed maps of what lies beneath the surface without disturbing a single stone or digging a single hole. The thermal imaging revealed something particularly fascinating about the trilithon blocks themselves. The scans showed temperature patterns that suggest these massive stones were cut using techniques that created incredibly smooth internal structures. The uniformity of heat distribution across these blocks indicates a level of precision that challenges our understanding of ancient stoneworking methods. Even more intriguing, some sections showed thermal signatures that didn't match the surrounding limestone composition. What makes these infrared discoveries so compelling is their non-invasive nature. Lebanese authorities are understandably protective of Baalbek's integrity. The site has survived earthquakes, wars, and centuries of weathering. Nobody wants to risk damaging these irreplaceable structures by drilling exploratory holes or excavating foundations. Infrared scanning offers a window into hidden mysteries while keeping the monuments perfectly intact for future generations to study and admire. The hidden chambers revealed. The infrared scans identified at least 3 distinct void spaces beneath the platform of the Temple of Jupiter. These aren't natural geological formations or simple gaps between stones. The thermal signatures suggest deliberately constructed chambers with defined walls and what appear to be connecting passages. The largest of these hidden spaces measures approximately 30 feet by 15 feet, easily large enough to serve as a significant underground room or hall. Why would ancient builders create chambers beneath such a massive platform? This question has sparked intense debate among researchers. Some suggest these spaces served religious or ceremonial purposes, perhaps as crypts for important figures or storage areas for sacred objects. Others propose more practical explanations, ventilation systems to prevent moisture buildup, or structural features designed to help the massive platform withstand earthquakes. The positioning of these chambers is particularly intriguing. They appear to be aligned with certain astronomical features, including the position of sunrise during the summer solstice. This alignment could be coincidental, but given what we know about ancient cultures' obsession with celestial movements, it seems more likely that these chambers were deliberately oriented according to cosmic patterns. Many ancient temples served as both earthly worship spaces and astronomical observatories. What really gets researchers excited is the possibility that these chambers might contain artifacts, inscriptions, or construction records that could finally answer the burning questions about Baalbek's origins. Imagine discovering a chamber filled with tools used to move the trilithon, or inscriptions describing the techniques employed. Such findings could revolutionize our understanding of ancient engineering and potentially reveal knowledge that was lost to history. The thermal scans also revealed something unexpected about the construction sequence. The temperature patterns suggest that different sections of the platform were built at different times, possibly separated by significant time periods. This finding challenges the assumption that Baalbek was constructed in a single continuous project. Instead, it appears that multiple phases of construction occurred, possibly by different cultures or civilizations building upon the work of their predecessors. The engineering impossibility. Modern engineers have attempted to recreate the Baalbek construction process using ancient tools and methods. Every single attempt has failed spectacularly. One team tried moving a 10-ton block using wooden rollers and ropes, roughly 80 times smaller than the trilithon stones, and managed to move it only a few meters before the rollers shattered and the ropes snapped. Scaling this up to 800-ton blocks seems absolutely impossible with primitive technology. The logistics become even more complicated when you consider the terrain. The path from the quarry to the temple site isn't flat. It includes inclines, rocky ground, and uneven surfaces. Moving an 800-ton block across such terrain without it tipping, cracking, or crushing the ground beneath it requires engineering knowledge that supposedly didn't exist in ancient times. Modern engineers use complex calculations involving load distribution, ground pressure, and material stress limits, concepts that weren't formally understood until centuries later. Some researchers have proposed that the ancient builders used a technique called sound levitation, where specific acoustic frequencies could reduce the effective weight of objects. This theory, while fascinating, lacks any solid archaeological or physical evidence. Others suggest that the blocks were cast in place using a type of ancient concrete, but geological analysis proves these are natural limestone blocks cut from the quarry, not artificial constructions. The precision of the block placement presents another engineering mystery. The trilithon stones sit on a foundation of smaller, though still massive blocks, with such accuracy that the total accumulated error across the entire platform is less than a few inches. This level of precision requires surveying tools and measuring instruments that supposedly didn't exist in the ancient world. How did they level the foundation? How did they ensure each block was positioned exactly right? What's truly fascinating is that modern construction companies have been consulted about how they would move the trilithon stones today using current technology. The consensus is sobering. It would require custom-built equipment, extensive site preparation, months of planning, and a budget in the millions of dollars. If it's this difficult for us with our advanced technology, how on earth did ancient builders accomplish it with supposedly primitive tools? The age question nobody can answer. Dating Baalbek has always been problematic. The Roman temples on top are relatively easy to date based on architectural style, inscriptions, and historical records. They were constructed around the 1st to 3rd centuries AD. But the massive foundation stones beneath them are a completely different story. These megalithic blocks show no inscriptions, no datable artifacts directly associated with their construction, and their weathering patterns suggest they could be significantly older than the Roman structures above. Some researchers propose that the megalithic platform predates the Romans by thousands of years. They point to legends and traditions that describe Baalbek as existing long before recorded history began. Ancient texts refer to the site as being built before the flood, a phrase that appears in multiple cultural traditions worldwide. If these traditions have any basis in fact, the platform could date back to periods we traditionally associate with hunter-gatherers rather than advanced civilizations. The stone weathering analysis reveals interesting details. The trilithon blocks show erosion patterns different from the Roman masonry above them. This differential weathering suggests the megalithic blocks were exposed to the elements for an extended period before the Roman temples were constructed on top. Geological analysis indicates this exposure could have lasted centuries or even millennia, pushing the platform's construction date back into prehistory. Carbon dating can't be directly applied to stone, which creates a frustrating gap in our knowledge. Researchers have tried dating organic materials found in association with the stones, but these results are inconclusive. Some samples suggest dates around 10,000 BC, which would make Baalbek contemporary with Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, another impossibly ancient site that challenges our understanding of prehistoric capabilities. The infrared scans have added a new dimension to the age question. The thermal signatures of the hidden chambers suggest they were sealed for an extremely long time. Moisture patterns and mineral deposits visible in the thermal imaging are consistent with spaces that haven't been disturbed for thousands of years. While this doesn't provide a precise date, it strongly suggests that whatever is down there has been hidden since ancient times. The Roman connection and confusion. The Romans were incredible engineers and builders. They constructed aqueducts, roads, bridges, and structures that still stand today. Their concrete formula was so advanced that modern scientists are still trying to fully replicate it. They documented their projects meticulously, taking pride in their accomplishments. Yet when it came to Baalbek's megalithic foundation, the Romans who built atop it seemed genuinely mystified. Roman historians like Pliny the Elder mentioned Baalbek but never claimed the Romans built the massive foundation stones. This silence is significant because Romans typically loved taking credit for impressive engineering feats. The fact that they didn't claim the trilithon as their work suggests they either didn't move these stones or they considered the accomplishment so ordinary it wasn't worth mentioning. And given the Romans' tendency to boast, the latter seems highly unlikely. The Roman construction at Baalbek shows a clear stylistic and technical difference from the megalithic foundation. The Roman blocks are smaller, more uniform, and show typical Roman masonry techniques. The joints use mortar, and the stones bear masons' marks common in Roman construction. In contrast, the megalithic foundation stones are fitted without mortar, show no masons' marks, and display characteristics that don't match any known Roman technique. Some researchers suggest the Romans discovered Baalbek as a ruined or abandoned site and decided to build their temples on top of the existing platform. This theory explains why Roman historians didn't document moving the trilithon. They didn't move them because they were already there. The Romans simply recognized a stable, impressive foundation and took advantage of it for their own monumental architecture. The infrared scans have revealed something interesting about the interface between the Roman structures and the megalithic platform. There's a clear thermal boundary showing where Roman construction begins and the older foundation ends. This boundary suggests a significant time gap between the two construction phases, supporting the theory that the Romans built upon a much more ancient foundation. The thermal imaging essentially shows us two distinct construction signatures, separated by what could be thousands of years. Alternative theories and wild speculation. Now we're entering the realm where mainstream archaeology meets alternative theories, and things get really interesting. Some researchers propose that Baalbek was built by a lost advanced civilization that existed before the known historical civilizations. This Atlantis theory suggests that highly developed societies with advanced technology existed in prehistoric times, but were wiped out by catastrophic events, leaving only megalithic structures as evidence of their existence. The ancient astronaut theory has also latched onto Baalbek as prime evidence. Proponents suggest that the impossibly large stones were moved using technology provided by extraterrestrial visitors. While this theory is widely dismissed by mainstream scientists, it's worth noting that many ancient cultures worldwide have legends about sky people or gods from the stars helping with construction projects. Could these stories have any basis in reality, or are they simply mythological explanations for impressive human achievements? Another fascinating theory involves forgotten technology. Some researchers believe ancient civilizations possessed knowledge and tools that were lost over time due to catastrophes, invasions, or the collapse of societies. They point to examples like the Antikythera mechanism, a 2,000-year-old mechanical computer that demonstrates ancient Greeks had technology we never suspected. Could the builders of Baalbek have possessed similar lost technology for moving massive stones? The sound levitation theory deserves more attention here, even though it's controversial. Legends from multiple cultures describe stones being moved using sound, music, or special chants. Tibetan texts describe monks moving massive stones to construct monasteries using drums, trumpets, and focused sound. While modern physics suggests true levitation through sound is impossible for objects this massive, could ancient builders have discovered acoustic techniques that somehow reduced friction or assisted in moving heavy loads? Here's where we can have some fun speculating. What if the hidden chambers revealed by infrared scans contain evidence supporting one of these alternative theories? Imagine discovering ancient tools that work on principles we don't understand, or inscriptions describing construction techniques that seem impossible with ancient technology. The thermal scans show something is down there, but until these chambers are properly explored, we can only wonder and speculate about what secrets they might hold. The astronomical alignments. Ancient civilizations were obsessed with the stars, and Baalbek is no exception. The temple complex shows deliberate astronomical alignments that couldn't be coincidental. The Temple of Jupiter is oriented precisely with the rising sun on the summer solstice. This alignment is accurate to within a fraction of a degree, demonstrating sophisticated astronomical knowledge and surveying capabilities. The infrared scans revealed that the hidden chambers beneath the platform are also aligned with celestial features. One chamber's longest axis points directly toward the position where the star Sirius rises on a specific date. Sirius held tremendous importance in ancient cultures, particularly in Egypt, where its appearance marked the beginning of the Nile flood season. The connection between Baalbek and Egyptian astronomical traditions raises intriguing questions about cultural exchange and shared knowledge. Researchers have identified what appears to be a sophisticated understanding of the precession of the equinoxes encoded in Baalbek's layout. Precession is the slow wobble of Earth's axis that causes the position of stars to shift gradually over thousands of years. Ancient cultures shouldn't have known about this phenomenon, yet multiple megalithic sites worldwide seem to incorporate precessional calculations into their design. How did ancient builders acquire this knowledge? The positioning of the three trilithon stones themselves may have astronomical significance. Some researchers note that their spacing and alignment correspond to the three stars of Orion's belt, a constellation that held special meaning in many ancient cultures. The Egyptians associated Orion with Osiris, their god of the afterlife, and built the Giza pyramids with shafts aligned to Orion. Could Baalbek have similar connections to this celestial pattern? The thermal imaging revealed something peculiar about how sunlight interacts with the structure during specific times of the year. During equinoxes, thermal patterns show that certain stones heat up faster than others, creating a visual effect that would have been visible to ancient observers. This suggests the builders designed the structure not just as a building, but as a kind of astronomical instrument or calendar. The hidden chambers might have served as observation points for tracking celestial movements. What the infrared scans actually tell us. Let's get back to the hard science for a moment. The infrared thermography conducted at Baalbek used multiple scanning sessions during different times of day and different seasons. This approach creates a comprehensive thermal map that filters out temporary temperature variations and focuses on structural features. The technology used can detect temperature differences as small as 0.1 degrees Celsius, making it incredibly sensitive to even subtle anomalies. The scans confirmed the presence of at least 3 major void spaces and several smaller cavities within the platform structure. The thermal signatures suggest these voids are filled with air rather than water or sediment, which is remarkable given how old the structure is. This finding implies the chambers were deliberately sealed and have remained sealed for an extremely long time. The lack of water infiltration speaks to the incredible quality of construction. Temperature mapping also revealed something unexpected about the trilithon stone's internal structure. The thermal conductivity patterns suggest these blocks are remarkably homogeneous, with few internal fractures or flaws. This homogeneity is unusual for natural limestone and suggests the ancient builders were incredibly selective about which stones they cut from the quarry. They somehow identified the highest quality sections of bedrock and extracted those specific blocks. The infrared data shows stress patterns in the platform where weight distribution creates detectable thermal differences. These patterns reveal that the megalithic platform was engineered with sophisticated understanding of load-bearing principles. The massive stones are positioned to distribute their weight in ways that maximize stability and minimize stress on individual blocks. This level of engineering foresight is remarkable for any time period. Perhaps most intriguingly, the thermal scans detected what might be a network of narrow passages connecting the larger chambers. These passages are too small to be natural features and appear too regular to be cracks or weathering damage. If confirmed through further investigation, these passages might have served as ventilation shafts, acoustic channels, or access routes for maintenance. They add another layer of sophistication to the structure's design. The excavation challenge. Opening the chambers revealed by infrared scans presents enormous challenges. Lebanon's Department of Antiquities is understandably cautious about any invasive work at Baalbek. The site is a UNESCO World Heritage location, and any excavation must be carefully planned to avoid damaging irreplaceable historical structures. The process of accessing these chambers without disturbing the megalithic blocks above them requires extreme precision. Modern archaeological excavation follows strict protocols. Every centimeter must be documented photographically and through detailed notes. Artifacts must be carefully preserved and catalogued. The work proceeds slowly and methodically, sometimes taking years to excavate even small areas. Accessing chambers beneath an 800-ton block adds complexity that few archaeological projects ever face. One wrong move could destabilize stones that have stood for millennia. Funding is another major obstacle. Archaeological projects at World Heritage sites require significant financial resources. The specialized equipment needed to access chambers beneath Baalbek would cost millions of dollars. Ground-penetrating radar, specialized drilling equipment, fiber optic cameras, and structural support systems all come with hefty price tags. Finding organizations willing to fund such an expensive and uncertain project is challenging. There's also legitimate concern about what might happen when these sealed chambers are opened. Ancient air sealed for thousands of years could pose health risks to excavators. Temperature and humidity changes from opening, the chambers could damage any artifacts or inscriptions inside. Bacteria or molds that have been dormant for millennia might suddenly activate when exposed to fresh air and modern contamination. Despite these challenges, the archaeological community is excited about the possibilities. Several teams have proposed using minimally invasive techniques like fiber optic cameras inserted through tiny drill holes to peek inside the chambers before committing to full excavation. This approach would allow researchers to see what's inside and assess the risks and potential rewards before undertaking more extensive work. The technology exists to explore these spaces safely. It's now a matter of securing permission, funding, and assembling the right team. Global megalithic connections. Around the world, megalithic sites like Baalbek, Sacsayhuaman, Easter Island, and Stonehenge reveal astonishing similarities despite being separated by thousands of miles. Each features stones weighing many tons, fitted or moved with precision that seems far beyond the technology of their time. They also share design elements such as astronomical alignments and the puzzling choice of massive blocks when smaller stones would have sufficed. This has led some researchers to wonder if ancient cultures had access to shared knowledge or a global network that influenced how and where these monuments were built. Recent scanning technologies are uncovering even deeper mysteries. Infrared and thermal scans at Baalbek, Sacsayhuaman, and Stonehenge suggest the existence of hidden chambers and structures beneath the surface, hinting that what we see may be only a fraction of these sites' true scale. While mainstream archaeology remains cautious, some theorists suggest that the use of such enormous stones may have served purposes beyond display of power, possibly involving acoustic, electromagnetic, or other properties still not fully understood. Whatever the reason, these massive constructions continue to challenge our understanding of ancient engineering and human history. So here we are, standing at the edge of revelation. The infrared scans have pulled back the curtain on Baalbek, revealing hidden chambers that have been sealed for potentially thousands of years beneath the largest stones ever moved by human hands. We've explored theories ranging from lost ancient technology to sophisticated engineering that challenges everything we thought we knew about our ancestors' capabilities. The thermal signatures beneath those 800-ton trilithon blocks aren't just scientific data. They're breadcrumbs leading us toward answers that could fundamentally change how we understand human history and capability. Whether these chambers contain ancient tools, inscriptions, or artifacts that explain the impossible, we're closer than ever to solving one of archaeology's greatest puzzles. The truth is down there, waiting beneath millennia of mystery and stone. What question would you ask the ancient builders of Baalbek if they could answer directly? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more hidden history revelations.